Hi, welcome to our video on setting up your portfolio. In this first section, we're going to look at how to set up your account. We'll log in, we'll create a site, make sure we're getting that free version, and verify that account. We are beginning our WordPress account setup at wordpress.com. Note there are both wordpress.com and wordpress.org. For what we are doing, we want to make sure we are on wordpress.com. So we can get started by clicking Start Our Website. And we'll get started by creating our wordpress.com account. Now I've already created an account, so I'm not going to go through this creation site, but you definitely should. So when you get that set up, I would encourage you to use an email that you're familiar with. And if you don't have a password service, make sure that you take note of the password that you created so that when you are ready to log back on again, you can. Once you get this account created, you'll want to verify that email. So you'll go to that email address that you used, check that email, and verify that you've created the account. At that point, you'll come back in, log on, and begin creating your site. So here I'm ready to create my site domain. And domain means the site's address, okay? So it's going to be what you see in that top browser window. I would suggest that you use your name, some combination of your name. I'm going to use that as my term, but you'll want to find whatever combination will let you have a free site. So we do want you to pick a free site. Later on down the road, if you want to get your own domain, you can do that and move all of your content over. If you do not see a free option, that means you probably need to change your name a little bit. So you can see if I just had that, it's going to put some numbers in front of it. So just make sure that you're comfortable with that first intro part, and then it will always read .wordpress.com. You do not need to type that up here. You'll see that that's the free one available here. And if I don't see the one that says free right here, you don't want one that renews, then you just need to change your name. And I'm going to select that free one. And so again, they're asking me, hey, they're trying to get you to buy up. Just click Start with a free site. Now, as it's building our site, we're also going to get an email then to verify our site. You'll want to make sure that you head over to your email and verify that site. And I'll meet you back here for our next video. Now that we've got your account all set up, we're ready to dig into WordPress. So in this section, we're going to visit our dashboard, make sure we've launched our site, make sure that we can understand how to share our URL and view our website. Here we are in the dashboard of our new site. So let's familiarize ourselves with a few things here. You can see there's my site title and a little message that says coming soon. That indicates I have not yet launched my site. I can also tell that over on the right-hand side because I don't have a check mark next to launch my site. So I need to first, before we go any further, launch my site. So I'm going to click that button. And when I click it, it's going to pop up a central launch site button. I'll click that hot pink button. and it's going to walk me through the paid items again. Don't freak out. I'm going to skip purchase. Again, it's just trying to get us to buy one of the paid plans. We're going to ignore that and continue with that free address that we picked before. So I'm going to skip purchase, and I'm going to continue with my free site. And again, we're just going to stick with this site. So for those of you who are interested in sales, that's the upsell right there. And now you can see we've got a big message that says we've launched our site. So we're ready to go. Over on this side, I no longer see the message that says coming soon. I just see my site name. Now to get started, let's just view our site. So this is what we have here. We haven't picked out anything. This is our default. I want to show you real quickly how to view and share the correct URL. So if I look at this top bar, notice that starts and ends with WordPress.com. That is my admin link. If I share this link, it's going to ask that person to log into my site. This is my site address, that first URL that we established. So I can take this, copy it, paste it into a new browser link, and that's my site. Now we haven't done anything with it, but that's what I've launched. So always make sure you share the link that just ends with WordPress.com, not the one that has WordPress.com at the beginning and the end. I'm going to click back on my home. So I'm just going to point out that you can walk through this site setup if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are someone who likes a little checklist, feel free. I think it's really helpful to start with a theme. So that's how I'm going to start you out in our next video. Now that our site is launched, we're ready to start picking out a theme. So in this section, we'll look at how you choose a theme, what are some differences among themes, how we make sure we get a free theme, and discuss what you can and can't change with those themes. Now that we've launched our site, we're ready to go ahead and pick our theme and get started building our portfolio. Now, like I mentioned, you of course are welcome to do the site setup checklist if checklists are appealing to you, but I like to start with picking the theme. To me, thinking about how that portfolio looks and visualizing it helps right off the bat. So I'm going to go to Appearance and Themes, and it brings up all of my themes. And so you can see I have a current theme listed up here, and then I can scroll through and look at other themes. Now, all of these themes that you see up here are free. If I go down to Show All Themes, there are some premium ones. Now, I really do recommend that you pick the free themes, so just sort by free, and you can see some additional themes. As you're viewing these, what you want to think about is, what are some of the requirements I have? If you want to have your social links up top, if you like your menu on the right or left, these are all of the things you're visualizing as you're looking at themes. When you find one that you think you might like, click those three dots and view the live demo. The live demo is going to let you see this theme in a larger window, allow you to go through and start clicking on parts of it, scrolling through, seeing what it looks like on different devices. I also recommend, again, clicking the three dots, that you view the info. So info is the documentation for your theme. This is like your how-to manual. And really good documentation is going to give you some step-by-step. It's going to show you what the content is, especially on that home page. And excellent ones are going to give you videos. So if you're ever stuck thinking, well, how do I get my portfolio to look like the theme I picked? The documentation is what helps you do that. Not every theme has the same options to customize. And the truth is, you don't really know until you get started on that theme. So just a reminder that as you pick themes, you can still change them. So you can start on one, find out that you don't quite like it, and change. You don't lose any content. You might have to reconfigure it. You might have to move some things around, but you don't lose content. So if you start a theme and it's not working for you, go ahead and change it. And again, make sure you're sorting and picking that free theme. So I'm going to activate this one, and so I'm just going to click that activate button. And so since I already had a home page, I'm going to say I want to use this theme's homepage content, make my existing homepage a draft, and activate it. So now I can choose to edit my homepage if I want to, but what I'm going to suggest we do next is go ahead and customize that theme. Now that we've got our theme selected, we're ready to start customizing it. And customizing it is where all the good stuff happens. So we will look at how we can brand our site identity, our homepage settings, that makes sure that our homepage looks the way we want it to look, examine widgets, and briefly discuss menus. Now that we've selected our theme, we're ready to customize it. So I'm just going to view our site so we can see where we're starting. So this is basically just our blank theme, and it's a blank canvas for us to work. So let's hop back over to our main WordPress. And on my dashboard menu, under Appearance, I'm going to choose Customize. Now remember, each theme has different elements to customize. And so if yours looks a little bit different than mine, that's the reason why. But you can always go back and check your documentation to find out how to customize things. Let's double check where that is first. So I'm going to close this out. And you can see up at the top of my page, there's my current theme. And then there's that documentation. So I can click that info and figure out how to make things work. Keep in mind, you can always change themes. So if you're not able to customize something the way you like, you can change themes and not lose your content, but you may need to rearrange things. So let's just zip through what we can add here. So I'm going to start by saying that this is my portfolio. If I want to, I can add a tagline. This is like a little subhead, might go into some of your identity content. Now, as far as logos go, I am not a fan of using Fiverr to create a logo. And at this stage of the game, I wouldn't really worry about that type of personal branding yet. So just stick with getting your name on there for your site identity. There will be time down the road to create your personal brand. So I'm going to go ahead and save changes and hit this back button. Now colors and backgrounds. Some themes will allow you to change colors. If they do, please use one of the provided color palettes. Those make sure that you are being web accessible, have a strong contrast ratio. If you change them on your own, you might make your website difficult to view. So I'll go ahead and change it to that red color, and I'll save the changes. Go back again. We're going to cover menus in the next video, so I'm just going to hop over that. Go to content options. So sometimes you can create a featured image that you show on all pages. Again, it depends on your theme. I don't want that option, so I'm not going to check that. My next category is widgets. So widgets are think of them as sidebars. And you want to read where your widgets appear. So my widgets appear in my footer. So that means at the very bottom of every single page. This is a great time to add some of the requirements you have for your portfolio. So we'll add a search widget. And you can see it's added that search widget. And I can add a contact me link. So what would that be? I don't need a map. So what I'm going to do is a text widget. And my title is going to be contact me. And I'm going to have my email in here. And if I wanted to add title on my search bar, I can do that as well. So you can see there's my contact me, there's my search bar, both at the bottom. So I'm going to save changes. Now you might have widgets that appear as sidebars on the right or the left. If you have a choice, it's best to have those on the right of your page. That way they're kind of off to the side and not in the way of content. Finally, we're going to customize our home page settings. So one of the things we want to make sure is that our home page is a static page. That means no matter what we add to our website, our home page never changes. If you're changing things and it's showing up on your home page, chances are you have this selected. So we'll just make sure we have static page, and that's our home page. These last two options, I don't need to worry about those because those are if I've purchased up from Pro or if I'm running a business site. So that gives us our basic customizations. In our next video, we're going to look at menus. Still in our customizer, but this video is going to look at how we can create menus. So we're going to look at all the aspects of what menus do we need, how our menus need to have both content and a location, how we can move them around, make submenus, different types of menus, primary menus, secondary menus, and social link menus. So let's dig in. In this video, we are going to dig into our menu. And so hopefully by looking at your theme and your documentation, you have an idea of where your menu is, and that's a great starting point. So menus need to have both content and location. Let's take a look. So you can see I have already some menus listed. I recommend that you get started by checking your locations. So it says my theme can display menus in 3 locations. So I have a primary menu, I can have a footer menu, and I can have a social links menu. Some of you might have a primary, and this is the primary menu up here, and you might have a secondary menu, and maybe that's up along this side. In my case, my secondary menu is in the footer. It's at the bottom. And just because you have that menu doesn't mean you need to use it. And then my social links menu. So menus need to have content and location. So my primary menu, which is named primary, is in that location. My social menu is going to be my social menu. So you can see that is now appearing up at the top. For this project, you want to have a home button, an about me, a resume, a portfolio, and a blog. So we're going to create some of these menu items now and one of them later so you can see how that looks. We're going to worry about the content on these menu items or pages later as well. So let's go ahead and edit our primary menu. So I'm going to hit edit, and I may not need all of this content. So if I don't want it, I can just click and remove. And I'm going to go ahead and remove everything in here and add all of my own content. So now I've removed all of those menu items and I'm going to add new content. So here I can both create a new page and add it to my menu. Now our next page is actually an about me, but I'm going to show you how to add that in a different location. So I'm going to add my resume page, my portfolio page, and my blog page. So as I've added these menu items, that content has been created. You can see that menu has changed. Now if I want to change the order of these, I just need to drag and drop and I can change the order of them. If I decide I want something to be a sub menu, all I need to do is drag it to the right as a sub menu. So I've got my basic primary menu done, and I just want to double check the location. So my primary menu is going to my primary location. So it has the two things I need. I needed both a location and I needed content. I'm going to go ahead and save my changes. I'm going to go back, and I just want to show you, if my menu is not there or not looking correct, it's because I don't have a location. So here under my view all locations, I just need to make sure that my primary menu is there. So let's look at adding our social links menu. I'm going to, under my social links menu, click edit menu, and I already have a whole bunch of links that I want to get rid of. So I can just click each of them and remove them. And notice that all of our social media links come in as custom links. So when I go to add content, I'll add under the custom links, not under pages where we were before. And I'm just going to paste in. So this is my LinkedIn. And with any type of social, you want to make sure that you're linking to your home, not your feed. And so I'm going to click add. And again, my social links menu is where my social menu is. So I'll save my changes. And you can see it automatically brings in that social icon. Now, with your social media, do not link social media channels that you don't want potential employers to see. If you are using things like Twitter, like LinkedIn in a professional manner, you definitely want to link those. And I think LinkedIn is always something you should have as your professional online resume. So I'm just going to go back. And again, same thing that we looked at with our primary menu. If we don't have the correct things selected, things won't appear correctly. So just making sure that you have both content and location. So we'll save our changes. Now, I mentioned we have one page, one menu item that we need to add, and that's our About Me. So let's look at what we created. And I'm going to visit our live site for this. So let me just refresh this. You can see there's our menu items. So when I go to each of these, they are blank pages. That's what pages look like when we create them as we did by adding them in our menu. Those are just blank pages. They have no template content. They are blank canvases, blank pages. There's another way that you can add menu items and pages and create a template. So I wanted to show you that with the About Me. So I'm going to leave our customizer and go back to our dashboard. I'm going to go into pages and I want to view all pages. So some of this content is the dummy content that we deleted when we added our menu. These three down here. So I'm going to get rid of those. So I'm just going to click my three dots and delete all of that content that is not mine. So these are the three pages that we created when we created our menu. And this is our home page. And I know it's my home page because I have my little home page icon. Well, now we need to add our About Me page. So I'm going to click Add New Page. And because I'm adding it through my Pages menu, I can choose a template. So let's look at an About Me template. So I think this one might be nice. So I'm going to select it. And I'm not going to worry about, we'll come back and edit this, but I'm just going to publish this page. So now we have created the page, but it's not yet in our menu. The page exists, but it's not on the menu. So we need to go back to our dashboard and into our customizer to add that to our menu. So I'm going to go into menus, go into primary, add, and there's that About page. And just like before, I can reorder this content. So if I want that to be up there, and I'll save that. So let's view this over here. Let's refresh. And you can see now there's that About page. And when I click on it, there's that template we selected. So when we're adding menu items, we have a couple of different ways we can add. We can add items from any of these categories, whether it's custom links, which we did with our social, our pages, which we created here. We could add posts and categories, which we'll look at when we add some content. Or we can create the page first, create a template, then come back and add that page. Always remembering that our menu needs to have content and a location to be successful. In our next video, we're going to dig into pages, talk about when we want to use pages versus posts, and how we can change and delete pages. In this video, we're going to look at pages. So we already began creating some pages when we built our menus, but now we're going to develop some additional pages, edit that content, and start to understand the difference between pages and posts. So I am on the Pages section of my dashboard, and I'm viewing all of my pages currently. So we kind of looked at this when we edited some menu items, but I just want to make sure that we understand everything we can do with pages. So first of all, we have different types of pages. So these are ones that are published. Then I have my drafts and ones that I've thrown away. Now you might be like, well, why is that home page in a draft and you also have one published? Well, remember when I switched from the default theme to my current theme? I made that draft home page just sit in drafts, and I created a brand new home page. And I can see it's the home page because it has that home page icon. I can delete pages, and I should definitely delete any of the default content that comes with my theme that I'm not using. So that contact page, I can just go ahead and trash that. If you recall, we created our About page by clicking Add New Page and then picking a template to work with. There is a series of featured templates, and I can also begin with a blank page if I don't want any template content. Something to keep in mind is that pages are single pieces of content. So each of these items, it's just one element. We also have posts. The difference between pages and posts are that posts can be categorized and grouped together. Let's look at what that means. So I have another default example portfolio up for you. And so my home page is a single piece of content, as is my About and my Resume. In this case, it's organized a little bit differently, but my portfolio is a category where all of these posts are living. And I can even make these more specific by having posts that are categorized as writing, as design, as research. And that's what we're going to be working with for this portfolio development. So when do we use pages and when do we use posts? Well, your pages are single pieces of content. So whenever I want just a resume, just a home page, just an About Me, I create a single page. So it does matter if you create content in a page or post. Now we're going to use these portfolio and this blog page almost as introduction pages. So think of it as the welcome room to all of our posts that will live in each of those sections. So at this stage, these are the pages you should have listed. Our home page uses our home page template. Let's take a peek at that. And our resume page is blank, as is our portfolio page and our blog page. Now remember, the portfolio, the blog, and the resume page were all created when we set up our menus, so they have a blank template. Our About page we created from the Pages menu, and we applied this template. Now we'll get into editing all these pages next, but hopefully that explains the difference between pages and posts. So at this point, we've really set up the framework for our entire portfolio. Now we're ready to dig into the details. In this video, we're going to be designing our home page. We're going to talk about some of the best practices for that home page, how you can begin to build visuals and tell your professional story, and begin to modify content and work with the block editor. In this video, we're going to look at how to design our home page. But before we really dive into design, I have a few reminders for you. First of all, we're going to head over to our customizer and just make sure that our home page is a static page. So under home page settings, we have our home page displays a static page, and that is the home page. Make sure you have those two items set up before you get any further. This is going to guarantee that your home page is what you're editing and it looks the way you think it should look. We're not adding additional post content to it. The next reminder for you is under our themes. And just remember that you can always go to your theme documentation under Info to make sure that you are editing things the way the theme help tools and documentation tell you to. So let's go back to our pages, and we're going to edit our home page. So my first tip in design is that you want to keep your home page relatively clean and simple. We've already made sure that that home page is static, so everything that we change on our home page is on this one page. Now this content is organized in what WordPress calls blocks. So as I click on different blocks, on this right-hand side, it tells me what that block is. In this case, this is a media and text block. That's a paragraph block. Each of these are single columns. So we're going to start editing this block content and think about what you can do. Now, one suggestion that might help you is before you dive into editing, maybe do some sketches of what you want to delete or add or keep to your homepage design. So the first thing I'm going to add is I'm going to change my image. So I've clicked on this image. Now I'm going to hit replace. And I need to upload an image. So I've got a couple of images that I picked from Unsplash that I think will be really good for communicating a visual that links to my professional identity. And I got this from Unsplash. Whatever image you select, you want to make sure that it is a copyright-free image. So that means either it's an image that you've taken or you've used something like Unsplash to download that image. To change this text, I'll just highlight it and start typing. This item is called a button. And so I can use this to link to different content on my page. Now, right now, you can see it's going to that contact page that we deleted. So we're going to just change that to view my resume. Then we will edit what this is linking to just by deleting, and I'm going to type the word resume. And so now it's going to my resume page. This color here was selected when we chose our theme, but if I want to change it, I could change it to one of the other theme colors as well. Just like we talked about before, stay within those theme colors to make sure that you have high contrast. So with this section, I would want to change my photos. And so I'll just again show you how to do that. So I'll click replace and I can upload. So a couple of different ways I can link content. So I'm linking this to that blog page that we created. I can make it a hyperlink, or I could add that button. And again, I'm just typing that keyword, and then it's going to my blog. Alternatively, if I wanted to add a button there, I could just hover, click my plus mark, I'm going to find a button. There's my button. Change the style of it over here on the right hand side. Change the width of it. So either of those are good options. So I could do the same for each of these, maybe going to the writing portion of my portfolio and the design portion of my portfolio. This is the part that I would encourage you to experiment with and work with. And if you want kind of a different design, you can see over here, like let's just say, I know I want to put some text in. This gives me the listing of all different types of text that I could put in and some pre-made styles that I could drop in. So whatever your base template is, you have a lot of flexibility to change that and make that your own. Now let's say that that's really it for my content. And I'm going to delete the rest of this. So I'm just going to select each section and remove the blocks that I don't want. All right, so I have all my content removed. So I'm going to go ahead and update my page. And then notice I get a little prompt and I can go ahead and view my page. So here's what my home page looks like. So you can see there's that photo. We've got our professional identity. Looks like we need to edit our button because that's not appearing as it should. But this part looks really nice. And then there's our widgets that we added as well. So we know we have one thing to edit over here, and that would be that button is not showing up. So I'm just going to select that button and go into my color settings. And let's say we want my background to be that secondary blue color and my text is white. And so I'm pretty happy with that. So let's update that and then preview how that looks. Much better. So we can see that a lot better. I can also preview how this would look in other forms. So that gets us going on editing our home page. A few reminders. Our home page is static. It includes at least one visual related to our professional identity. That visual needs to be copyright free, meaning we got it from Unsplash, Creative Commons. We took the photo ourselves. We've included our one-sentence professional identity statement. In my case, I'm including just little briefs about different sections, kind of introducing visitors to those sections. But you could just include a brief description of the website. Highlight main content. My homepage does not include any of my main content. It links to it. So dive in and edit that home page. In our next video, we'll look at the About Me page. In this video, we're going to look at how to design our About Me page. Now we haven't even created this page, so we're also going to be learning how to create new pages, pick a template, and then begin to modify that template. In this video, we're going to look at how to design our About Me page. So before we jump in and click on edit, I just want to remind you how we created the About Me page. With these 3 pages, we created them as we developed our menu. In the case of the About Me page, we clicked Add a New Page, we picked a template that we wanted to work with. Then we needed to add that to our menu. So we went back to Appearance, back to Menus, and under our primary menu, we added that About page. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete the page that we just created and edit the original About Me. So for the About Me, you can post a professional picture of yourself or a picture of yourself in action. So something that's doing an activity related to your professional identity statement. If the activity is a group picture, make sure you indicate who you are in that photo. If you're not comfortable with having your image, there's several avatar creators that you can use to create a professional looking avatar. And so just like when we edited our home page, we can just use this dummy text. In this space, I would copy and paste my ideal career goal and the 2 to 3 paragraphs I wrote elaborating on my professional identity. So again, that's just copy and paste. And if I need to restyle anything, I can restyle that under the typography section, making sure that my line height stays at 1.5. I can add additional content, maybe fun facts, things about my hobbies, anything that will help share who I am and what my professional identity is. I could add a button for a contact page, or I could include my email address. And remember, every page will have that Contact Me button in the bottom left. For these social media icons, again, I could edit each of those, or if I don't want them, I can go ahead and remove each of those. Remember, our social media needs to be highlighting professional social media, and at a minimum, we do want that LinkedIn. So this is another place that you can add that LinkedIn content. Definitely on this About Me, encourage visitors to contact you. Make sure they know how to do that. So we'll go ahead and update that About Me page. In this video, we're going to work on designing your resume. So to prepare yourself for this section, make sure you have a PDF ready to go of your resume, and we're going to show you how you can link that in a way that is easy for viewers to view and download. To design our resume, we actually need to do a little prep work first. So what we want to have on our resume page is a visual image of our resume and a PDF download of our resume. So let's get started on how we can make that happen. So I have my resume already as a PDF. And so wherever you create your resume from, whether that's InDesign or Word, you want to export it out as a PDF. Now, I'm not going to get into that method because everyone might be using a variety of different tools, and I couldn't possibly demonstrate all the different exports. But just you can Google how to export from whatever you're using as a PDF. So that's part one. The second part is creating an image. A PDF is not an uploadable image. So I need to change this to a JPEG. So I'm going to Control click, and I'm going to open this with Preview. Now, if you're not on a Mac, you will just need to use whatever operating system equivalent is a preview. You can also open it in a variety of other programs to export it. Again, I couldn't possibly imagine all the different software operating systems that exist. So simply Google, how do I change a PDF to a JPEG on, and then whatever device you have. So I'm going to go File, Export, JPEG. I'm going to make sure I'm going back to the same folder. Hit save. And now you can see I have both the JPEG and a PDF in there. Just note that neither of these have my home address. They do have my email, they do have my websites, but no one really needs your home address on your resume. So back to my WordPress page, I'm going to add a little text. So I've given the viewer some instructions about what to expect. I'm going to add, and I have an image. So I'm going to add an image block, and I'm going to upload that resume image. So here is that image. Now, between the image and my text, I'm going to have my download button. So for that, I want a file. And I'll upload my PDF. And so here is what my resume page looks like. I've got my download button, I've got my image. That looks good, so I'll go ahead and update that page. So just a reminder that you do not need to include your physical address. You can add your phone number or not, but remember, once your website is active, anyone can find that. So be selective with what you choose to present with that. In my case, I have a version that I might take around to job fairs, and then I have another that I have online with my resume page. In this video, we're going to look at how we can create your portfolio section. So we've already created a portfolio page. We'll be adding that, and we'll be discussing how we're going to then create posts and categories in our next video to help you finish that process. We're now working on editing our portfolio page. So if you recall, this page was created when we built our menu at the very beginning, and so it's a blank template, so we can decide to do anything to this page. Now, a reminder for you that if I use my block inserter, and then let's just say I know I'm going to put in text, I can get these pre-designed text blocks, which might be interesting places to start. So feel free to explore those. But if you're not interested in that, you can just jump in and start adding your text. So the first part of your portfolio page is going to be just a statement about what they will see, how that relates to your career goals. Think of this as an introduction to your portfolio section. Now, I recommend dividing things into sub-menus. So you could also include buttons. I might also want to include, and see how I'm just adding blocks and moving things around. I could include a brief overview of internships I've had, or other student organizations. Really, the goal of this portfolio page is to introduce people to this section. Overall, the portfolio content is to create a connection between the work you've done, whether that be in classes and internships, and your career goal. And when we get everything set, all you need to do is hit update, and that portfolio page is live. Next, we'll work on adding posts and then categorize them and adding them as menu items. In this video, we're going to look at how we can start populating content into that portfolio section. We're going to do this by creating posts and categorizing those posts and adding those to the menu. So we just finished creating our portfolio page, and now we're going to add and organize posts into categories that will be linked from this portfolio page. So we're going to navigate back, and this time we're going to go into our posts, and we're going to view all posts. And so just like we have with pages, we have some dummy content that we want to make sure that we just get rid of here, and then we'll add a new post. And so I've got some dummy text that I'm just going to copy and paste from Word into our post. And a couple of tips on bringing in content from Word or other documents. In web writing, we do not have tabs, so you can take those off and just go through each of those and delete those. Now you might notice there's space between paragraphs. We do want that for web reading. And we also want a decent line height. So you can see mine is 1.5, and I think that is a great number. If you come in and your text looks a little tight like that, just go over and change your line height so it looks good. And so we're going to call this my writing sample. And we're going to put a number on because we're going to do a couple of these. And so now let's categorize it. So think about this. We're going to have many different pieces of writing. And we want those to all be gathered together in one category. So I'm going to go over to my right-hand side, and under categories, I'm going to add a new one. And I'm going to add writing as a category. And while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to have a video category. And we're going to have a blog category. And so for this one, only want writing checked. So I've got my post created and categorized. Now, notice that this is pretty long. So if I went to that page, I would have to scroll through all of this story to get to the next story, to scroll through the next story. So one of the great tips I have for you is right after your lead paragraph, go ahead and put your plus, and we're going to click Read More. And you'll see when we get this published what that looks like. So we're going to go ahead and hit Publish. And I'm going to go back and add another post. So this is writing sample 2, and you would want to write a real headline. The other thing you want to do before these posts is write something of an editor's note. And you don't have to have the word editor's note in front of it, but you want to have some type of context for the writing, what it is, what the purpose of it is, what your goal, what you learned from this, who the piece was for, that type of thing. So just like before, we'll take off. Now some of your writing pieces might have things like images or links or that type of thing. We can totally make that happen. So I can highlight the text, I can add my link, and now it's a hyperlink. I can add images. So right in the middle of my text, I can add an image, and we'll just select one from our library. When I bring that in there, I can resize that. I can change the text alignment, and I can add caption info. You'll notice that as we're adding blocks and moving them around, I can even rearrange my blocks. So if I wanted to move my photo up and down, I can do that. And I can style in different ways over here on the right-hand side. So this is, again, under Post, part of my writing category. I'm going to add my Read More tag. And we will publish that. Now, when you're adding your content, obviously you have real content, not dummy text, and your headline should give me an idea of what that piece is. So is it a press release? Is it a summary writing piece? Give me an idea of that in the headline of that content. Let's go ahead and we'll add another post. So again, adding that editor's note, and just a note that you can always style this a little bit differently. So if I wanted to create a headline style, I could create more of a headline style with that. In this case, it looks more like a subhead. So that might be something you experiment with too, especially on the text, to maybe differentiate that. So let's grab a video link real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the share link. I don't want to grab the URL link. I want to grab the share link, and I'll copy that. And then over in my post, I'm going to add, and let's just show you how easy this is. I'm just going to type the word video and have all these different options. That was a YouTube link, so I'm going to grab that, paste the URL in there, click embed, and notice it brings over all of the play skin, all of my title, all of that good stuff. So again, I'm going to switch over to my post, and I'm going to categorize this as video. And so I will publish that. Now, just another word on some other types of content you might have. Another type of content might be some design content, or maybe you have photos you want to present. Again, I'm going to do that intro that's going to give context. And then just remember, you've got all of those templates. So when I type image, I've got tiled galleries, I've got a full gallery, so I can do all kinds of different things to showcase my images in a really rich way. So now that I've created these posts, I need to add them to our portfolio menu. So anytime menus are involved, that means we need to return to our customizer. So under menus and primary, I'm going to add items. And now under categories, there's those categories we added. So I'm going to check that. And that. And we're going to move those up and under our portfolio, because those are sub menus. And remember, you can also choose reorder and do it that way. So we're going to save changes. And let's preview how this looks. So there's my writing, and when I click on writing, there's writing sample 2, writing sample 1. There's that read more tag that we added in there. When I click in, I can view it. There's that hyperlink. There's our image. If I click on the portfolio tab, here's my intro. So I need to update this link, so I can just click edit. I'm going to edit this button. And so I want to make sure I drop down to writing category. And so that's good. And so now if I preview this page, that will now jump over to my writing sample. So here's a couple of tips for you. And let's go back. Oh, we forgot to update this page. So I'm going to preview the site. So let's say that you go in here and one of the writing pieces or one of the video pieces, something that you thought should be here is not in here. That probably is a case of you not categorizing it correctly. So just make sure under the posts that you've tagged that category on that right-hand side. If you don't see the entire menu item, that means you need to jump into the customizer and edit that menu. So in our next video, we're going to show you how to work with the blog content. Similar to the previous video, in this section, we're going to be working with posts, but this time we're going to be creating posts that we add to our blog category. In this video, we're going to set up your blog section. So if you recall, we originally set up this as a page, and I did that purposefully to show you the difference between a page and then our posts and categories, and just kind of reinforce that. So I'm on our blog page, and if I click edit here, it's going to allow me to jump in and edit my content. Now let's say I have my 2 blog posts that I am writing, and I know that this is the headline of my page, so I'm going to do a subhead for my first blog post. And I even know that I can go ahead and style this using one of my headline styles. And I'd like to use an H4 with that. And then with my next paragraph, I'm going to add text. And so in the next one, I'm going to add some text. So I'm just going to paste in our dummy text again. And I won't worry about styling it because we should know how to do that. And now I'm ready for my second blog post. So I'll do the same thing. And of course, if I wanted to, I could even style things with different columns or use some of my pre-formatted blocks. So I'm going to update that. And then let's go to the page and preview that. So here is the critical difference between pages and posts. Pages are single pieces of content. So here, in this style, I have to scroll all the way through blog 1 to get to blog 2. Compare that to our writing category, where we can view the editor's note, we can review the headline, we've got a nice little continue reading. So that's the difference between posts and categories and pages. So clearly, we want our blog to be in posts and categories and not in pages. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to go back, and we're going to go into our posts, and I'm going to add a new post. And so we're going to call this blog 1. Now, a couple of tips for our blog. We want to make sure that we have 2 posts. Each of those need to be connected to our professional identity statement, and they should talk about your thoughts about a trend in your field, in your area of interest, maybe a news story in your field. They are not about you. Rather, they're about your thoughts about a trend in the field. So, I am someone who is kind of at that juncture of technology and creativity. So I might write about my thoughts about how wonderful it is that so many people are really getting into understanding web accessibility and the importance of that. And that would be my blog post. So we've got our post in there, and of course I clean that up. But I'll go to post, and I go to blog, and I publish. And I'm going to do the exact same thing again, adding a new post. And I would definitely want a better headline than blog 1 or blog 2, but we're just doing this as an example for you. So there's blog. So now I've added content to my posts. I've categorized those posts. So guess what? We're ready for another trip back to the customizer so that we can add that to our menu. So appearance and customize, into our menus, into primary. There's that previous blog page, And let me show you a trick. I'm going to go ahead and add items, and I'm going to add our category. And so if you ever get confused, maybe you made a page and then decide it should be a category, they'd have that description right there. So I know that's the one I'm going to delete, and I'm going to save the changes. And then there's our blog. Okay, so that should give you an idea of how you can add those, and again, refresh you about the differences between pages and posts and categories. So a couple of final words to help you get your portfolio done. We have access to the virtual J-bar where you can come and ask questions. The hours for virtual J-bar should be in your Blackboard. And that's really the best place for you to get help, answer questions, and dig into your portfolio. Now, I strongly recommend before you go in, have these basics done. The J-bar is for problem solving, not walking you through how to set up a WordPress account. So use that tool wisely.